My name is Sarah Thompson. I'm 55 years old, and one night changed my life forever. That night, I understood that a mother can raise a son for 30 years and lose him in 30 seconds. It all started with a call from my son Michael. His voice sounded different, more distant. But I didn't want to see it. He told me he was celebrating the birthday of my grandson Sam, who was turning 6. Of course I would go. It was a 12-hour trip from Chicago to Miami. But he was my grandson. He was my blood. I remember before leaving, I grabbed the framed photograph I always kept in my living room. Michael at 6 years old, the same face Sam has now, with those big eyes and that mischievous smile. I put it in my suitcase along with the gift I had wrapped so carefully, a photo album I had spent months preparing, filled with memories of our family, 12 hours on a bus, 12 hours thinking about my grandson's hug, about Michael's face when he saw me arrive. I got there at 7 in the evening. The house was full of blue and silver balloons. I heard children laughing inside. I rang the doorbell, my heart pounding. Michael opened the door. He didn't smile. "Mom, what are you doing here?" Those 5 words cut through me like a knife. But I smiled, because a mother always smiles when something hurts. "Well, I came to see my grandson's son. It's his birthday." Before I could say more, I heard heels clicking on the hardwood floor. It was Vanessa, my daughter-in-law. She stood in front of me, with her arms crossed, her face red with fury. "Michael, did you tell your mother to come? I mentioned the birthday, but this is unbelievable." Her voice got so loud that the children inside stopped laughing. "Either she leaves or I leave. I will not share my house with this woman." My son looked at me. I looked at him. And in that moment, I saw something in his eyes I had never seen before. Fear. But not fear of losing me. Fear of losing her. "Mom," his voice trembled. Maybe it's better if you go." The world stopped. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just clutched the suitcase to my chest, where I still had that photograph, and the album that would never reach my grandson's hands. "It's okay, son," I said with a calm I didn't feel. "I'll go." I walked toward the street. I heard the door close behind me. I didn't turn back. That night, I slept in a hotel near the bus terminal. I cried all the tears I hadn't cried in front of them. But something inside me changed that night. Something broke, and something else began to wake up. A week later, my phone rang at 2 in the morning. It was Michael. His voice was desperate. Mom, are you there?" "Yes, son, I'm here." "Mom, I need your help. It's urgent. I need $50,000. It's life or death." I stayed silent. $50,000. Half of my life savings from working as a teacher. "What do you need it for, son?" "I can't explain right now. Just, please, you've always been there for me. This time too. Right?" I closed my eyes. I saw his face at that door. I heard his words. "Maybe it's better if you go." And then I said 5 words. Just 5. 5 words that would change everything. But I'll tell you about that later. Sometimes we trust the people we shouldn't. Have you also been disappointed by someone you loved? Tell me your story in the comments. I want to read it. Before I tell you what I said to my son that morning, I need you to understand something. I loved Michael since before he was born. When I was 25 and pregnant with him, my husband David left me. He disappeared one October morning with a younger woman, leaving me alone with a 7-month belly and a broken heart. But I never told Michael that. I didn't want him to carry that pain. I raised him alone. I worked double shifts as an elementary school teacher, teaching in the morning and tutoring in the afternoon. Michael was my entire world. I remember the mornings in our little house in Chicago. I'd make coffee and sweetbread, and he'd run down the stairs with his backpack on backwards, always running late. I braided his hair when he was little. I patched up his scraped knees. I held him when he had nightmares. "Mom, you're never going to leave, right?" he asked me once when he was 8. "Never, my love. Moms never leave." On Sundays we went to the market. He would carry the bags even though they were bigger than him. He helped me pick the tomatoes, always choosing the brightest ones. Afterward, we'd sit in the park and eat ice cream. Vanilla for him, strawberry for me. That photograph I took to Miami, I took it on one of those Sundays. Michael was 6 years old, the same age Sam is now. He was smiling, showing the gap where he'd lost a tooth. Behind him you could see the big oak tree in the park. That day he told me, "Mom, when I grow up, I'm going to buy you a huge house so you never have to work so hard." I kept that promise in my heart like a treasure. I watched him grow. I watched him become a good, responsible man. He studied business administration, got a good job in Miami. I was so proud. He met Vanessa at a business conference. At first she was charming to me. She called me Mom, sent me pictures of my newborn grandson. But something changed after the first year of marriage. The calls got shorter. The visits were canceled. Michael always had an excuse. Too much work. Vanessa isn't feeling well. The baby is sick. I didn't say anything. A mother knows when to stay quiet. But that night, at the door of his house, when he asked me to leave, when he chose Vanessa over me after a 12-hour trip, something broke inside me. It wasn't just the humiliation. It was the realization that the boy who carried my market bags, the one who promised me a big house, the one who hugged me during nightmares, he didn't exist anymore. In his place was a man who shut the door in my face in front of his wife and son. That week after I returned to Chicago was the darkest of my life. I sat in my living room, staring at that same framed photograph. Michael at 6, Sam at 6, the same face, but the same heart. At night, I wondered where I had gone wrong. Had I spoiled him too much? Had I not taught him to value sacrifice? Or had I simply raised a son who only learned to love me when it was convenient for him? And then, that morning, the phone rang. His desperate voice, $50,000, urgent. And I, staring at that photograph in my living room, understood something that broke my soul and freed me at the same time. Sometimes, the person you love the most is the one who needs to learn the hardest. As I tell this, I wonder where you're listening from. Write the name of your city in the comments. Now that I think about it clearly, the first crack wasn't that night in Miami. It was much earlier. So subtle I almost didn't see it. It was at Michael and Vanessa's wedding, 7 years ago. I had saved for 2 years to help them with the ceremony. It wasn't much, but it was everything I had. $20,000, which I kept in a yellow envelope inside my closet. I gave it to Michael 3 months before the wedding. "Son, this is for you and Vanessa, so you can start off right." He hugged me. He cried. He told me I was the best mother in the world. But when the wedding day came, something strange happened. Vanessa had organized everything. The venue, the flowers, the music. It was a beautiful wedding, I admit. But when it was time for the ceremony, I sat in the third row. The third row. The mother of the groom in the third row. In the first row were Vanessa's parents, Robert and Linda, with their elegant suits and perfect smiles. In the second row, the groomsmen and bridesmaids, and me in the back. Michael said nothing, and neither did I. During the reception, Vanessa introduced me to her friends. "This is Sarah, Michael's mom. She works at a little school in Chicago." A little school, as if my 30-year career was something small, insignificant. But what hurt the most was the dance. Traditionally, the groom dances with his mother first. But Vanessa insisted on changing the order. Michael danced with her first, then with Vanessa's mother, and finally, with me. 2 minutes. We danced for 2 minutes. "Mom, you look beautiful," he told me as we turned. "Thank you, son." Vanessa wanted everything to be modern, you know, less traditional. "It's okay, son. It's your day." I lied. It wasn't okay. But a mother learns to smile even when her heart is breaking. After the wedding, things changed faster. Michael called me less. When I called him, he was always busy. Vanessa was always there, in the background, saying something I couldn't quite hear. When Sam was born, I traveled to Miami to meet him. I only stayed at their house for 3 days. Vanessa made it clear that my help wasn't needed. "Sarah, I have everything under control, Besides, my mom is coming tomorrow." Vanessa's mother stayed for 3 weeks. On Sam's first birthday, they had a big party. I brought a gift, a teddy bear I had hand-knitted for months. Vanessa received it with a cold smile. "How nice, Sarah. We'll put it away." I never saw Sam with that teddy bear. Christmases became negotiations. I invited Michael to spend the holidays in Chicago. He always had an excuse. "Mom, this year, we're going to the beach with Vanessa's family." "Mom, Sam is too little to travel." "Mom, maybe next year." Next year never came. Little by little, my son drifted away, not with cruel words, not with yelling. He just faded from my life like smoke, and I let it happen, because I thought if I stayed quiet, if I didn't complain, if I didn't bother him, he would come back. But he didn't come back. Until that night of Sam's birthday, when I decided I had waited long enough, when I took my savings, bought that bus ticket, and traveled 12 hours to see my grandson, and my son shut the door in my face. That week, after returning to Chicago, I cried. I cried for all the years I stayed silent, for all the times I swallowed my pain so I wouldn't be an inconvenience, for believing my silence would buy his love. And then that call came at 2 a.m, $50,000. "Mom, you've always been there for me. This time too, right?" I stared at the ceiling of my bedroom. I thought about the 3rd row at his wedding, about the teddy bear my grandson never used, about the Christmases I spent alone, about that door slamming in my face. And I thought, how long must a mother give without receiving anything in return? How long must she stay silent while being treated as if she doesn't matter? I took a deep breath, and then I said those 5 words. "I want to be honest with you. I wasn't a perfect mother, but I was a mother who loved too much, and that was my mistake. After that wedding, when I saw the signs that I was losing my son, I tried everything to get him back, but every attempt sank me deeper. I called Michael every Sunday. If he didn't answer, I waited. If he answered and sounded annoyed, I cut the conversation short. I learned to measure my words, not to ask too much, not to demand anything. "How is my grandson?" I'd ask carefully. "Fine, Mom. Growing." "And you? How's work?" "Everything's fine. Busy. I have to go." 3-minute conversations. That's all that was left of us. Vanessa posted everything on social media. I saw the photos. Sam at the beach with Grandma Linda, Michael hugging Vanessa's parents at Christmas. Family parties where I was never present. And I liked every photo. I commented, "So beautiful." Blessings. As if that brought me closer to them. Once, on Michael's birthday, I sent a cake to his office. Chocolate with strawberries. His favorite since he was a kid. It cost me almost $100 to send it from Chicago to Miami, but I wanted him to know I was thinking of him. He sent me a text 2 days later. "Thanks, Ma." 2 words. I replied, "I love you, son. I hope you had a beautiful day." He never answered, but I kept trying, because that's what mothers do, right? We keep loving even when we're ignored. We keep calling even when they don't answer. We keep giving even when we never receive. 2 Christmases ago, I decided to make one last effort. I saved for months and bought plane tickets to go to Miami, 3 days, that's all. I didn't want to bother them. I called Michael to let him know. "Son, I bought tickets to visit you for Christmas. Just 3 days. I want to see Sam." There was a long silence. "Mom, this year is going to be complicated." "Why, son? It's only 3 days. It's just Vanessa, you know. She has plans with her family, and the house is small, and I can stay in a hotel, son. I just want to see you all." Another silence. "Let me talk to Vanessa, and I'll let you know." He never let me know. The tickets expired. I spent that Christmas alone, staring at the picture of Michael at 6, wondering where that boy had gone, the one who hugged me and told me I was his favorite mom. But even then I didn't give up. I sent Sam gifts every month, clothes, toys, books. Vanessa received them and sent me a curt thanks by text. Never a photo of Sam using them. Never a video call so I could watch him open the gifts. My friends told me, "Sarah, why do you keep insisting that boy doesn't value you?" "He's my son," I'd reply. "Sons go through phases. He'll get over it." But he didn't get over it, and I just got smaller. I stopped calling as much. I stopped asking. I stopped sending gifts that nobody acknowledged. I became a shadow in my own son's life, waiting for crumbs of his attention. That's why, when I heard about Sam's birthday, something woke up in me. A small voice that said, "Go, do it for you. Don't wait for an invitation that's never going to come." I bought that bus ticket, 12 hours on the road. I wrapped that photo album with all the love I had saved up. And I went, because I still believed that if he saw me, if he looked me in the eyes, he would remember. He would remember all the times I stayed up late caring for him when he was sick. He would remember the sacrifices. He would remember that I was his mother. But when he opened that door and said, "Mom, what are you doing here?" When he asked me to leave while Vanessa screamed, when I heard that door close, I knew the truth. It wasn't a phase. He wasn't going to change. My son had chosen, and I was not his choice. I returned to Chicago. I put that photograph in a drawer. I couldn't look at it anymore without feeling pain. And then, a week later, the phone rang at 2 a.m. "Mom, I need $50,000. It's urgent." There he was again, looking for me only when he needed me. And I, sitting in the darkness of my room, understood something. A mother's love shouldn't be an ATM. It shouldn't be something you only look for when you need money or help. Love should be reciprocity, respect, presence. And I no longer had any of that from my son. So I took a deep breath, and I said those 5 words. I still wonder if I did the right thing. "What about you? What would you have done in my place?" "Mom, please, I need that money. Is it life or death?" His voice was desperate, broken, like when he was a boy and came crying because he fell off his bike. But he wasn't a boy anymore. He was a 30-year-old man who had shut the door in my face just a week ago. "Life or death?" I asked, keeping my calm. "Explain it to me, Michael." It's complicated. Vanessa and we have problems, financial problems. We invested in a business that went bad. We're being sued. If we don't pay in 3 days, we're going to lose the house." The house. That house I wasn't allowed to enter on my grandson's birthday. "And why don't you ask for a loan at the bank?" "I already tried. They rejected us." "Mom, please. Only you can help us. You know, if I had another option, I wouldn't be calling you." If I had another option. Those words stuck in my chest like thorns. "So I'm your last option, son, not your mother. Not the person who raised you alone, who worked double shifts to give you a career. I'm just your last option, when everyone else told you no." "Mom, it's not like that. Did you call Vanessa's parents? They have money. I've seen them in the photos, the trips, the restaurants." Silence. They already helped us last year. We can't ask them for more." "But you can ask me, even though you humiliated me a week ago. Even though you wouldn't even let me see my grandson." "Mom, I'm sorry, really. Vanessa was upset about something else, and I'm sorry, but right now I need you to help me. We're family. We're family." I got out of bed and walked to the window. Outside, Chicago was asleep. The streets were empty. I thought about that $50,000, half of everything I had saved, 30 years of work, 30 years of sacrifice. "And what about Vanessa?" I asked. "Does she know you're calling me?" Another silence. "No, she's asleep." "So you're calling me behind her back. Mom, please don't make this complicated. Yes or no? Are you going to help me or not?" And there it was, the naked truth. He wasn't calling to apologize. He wasn't calling because he missed me. He wasn't calling because he finally understood the pain he caused me. He was calling because he needed money. I took a deep breath. I looked back at my room, where that photo of him at 6 was hidden in a drawer. The boy who promised to take care of me when he grew up. The boy who no longer existed. "Michael," I said, with a voice that was no longer pleading, or hurt, or submissive. "Do you remember your wedding?" "What, Mom? What are you talking about?" "Your wedding. I gave you $20,000, all my savings at the time, so you could start your life with Vanessa." "Yeah, Mom. And I thanked you for it. You sat me in the 3rd row. You danced with me for 2 minutes. And Vanessa introduced me as the woman from the little school in Chicago." "Mom, that was years ago. Why are you bringing that up now?" "Because I need you to understand something, son. For 7 years, I have given you everything, without asking for anything in return. Calls you don't answer. Gifts nobody acknowledges. Christmases you cancel. And when I finally gathered the courage to come see you, you threw me out of your house. Mom..." "I'm not finished. Now you come asking me for $50,000, half of everything I own, and you don't even have the courage to tell your wife you're calling me." "Mom, please. I promise this time will be different. When I get out of this, things will change, I swear." The promises of a desperate son, the same promises I had heard for years. "Did you know I still have the photo album I brought for Sam?" I told him. "It never reached his hands. I brought it back in my suitcase. I spent months making it. Photos of you as a kid, photos of us, our history. I thought maybe my grandson would know who his grandmother is. Mom, we can talk about that later. Right now I need an answer. Yes or no?" Yes or no, as if my love, my sacrifice, my pain, all boiled down to 2 options. "Son, I'm going to tell you something, and I want you to listen closely. Are you going to help me? I've spent my whole life helping you. Now it's time for you to learn something." What am I going to learn, Mom? That my own mother turns her back on me when I need her most. No, son, you're going to learn that actions have consequences, that you reap what you sow, that respect isn't begged for, it's earned. So, you're not going to help me." His voice sounded incredulous, as if he couldn't believe what he was hearing, and then, looking out that window, feeling the weight of 30 years of unrequited love, I said those 5 words. The same 5 words that would change everything. 5 words my son never expected to hear from my mouth. "Reap what you sow, son." 5 words. Just 5. But I felt the air between us split in 2. "What?" His voice was a whisper. "What did you say?" I said, "Reap what you sow." Are you telling me no? I'm telling you that for 30 years, I sowed love in you, and for the last 7, I have only reaped neglect. Now it's your turn to reap, son. The silence on the other end of the line was so deep I could hear my own heart beating. 1, 2, 3 seconds, 10, 20. "I can't believe this," he finally said, and his voice was no longer pleading. It was cold, hard. "I can't believe my own mother is doing this to me. I'm doing this to you." Something snapped inside me. "Me, Michael, I'm the one doing something to you. I'm going to lose my house. My son is going to be on the street, and you're hitting me with calendar phrases. Your son." "My grandson. The child you wouldn't let me see on his birthday." That was different. Vanessa was upset. She's always upset, and you always choose her, always. So now, face the consequences of your choices. You are a... He stopped, breathed. When he spoke again, his voice trembled with contained rage. "All my life, you told me a mother is always there for her kids. Always. No conditions. That's what you taught me. And I was there. Always. But you, son, were you there for me? When was the last time you asked me how I was? When was the last time you called without needing something? I don't have time for this. I need that money now. No. That word. So short. So simple. So liberating. No, he repeated, as if he didn't understand the meaning. Just like that, no. Just like that, no. Then let's be clear, Mom. If you don't help me now, don't look for me again. Don't call again. Don't send gifts that nobody wants. We're done. My heart stopped. Those words were the final threat, the ultimatum, him or nothing. But instead of feeling fear, I felt something strange. I felt peace. It's okay, son, I said, with a calm that surprised even me. If that's the price of my dignity, I'll pay it. What? I accept. If our relationship depended on how much money I could give you, then we never had a real relationship. So go ahead, end it. You're crazy. You were always dramatic, but this is... You know what, Michael, for 30 years, I carried the guilt of your father abandoning us. I thought if I gave you everything, if I loved you double, if I filled that void, you would never feel that pain. Don't bring my father into this. But I was wrong. I didn't make you stronger. I made you dependent. I taught you that Mom would always be there to rescue you, to give you what you needed, and ask for nothing in return. And so I raised a man who believes love is something you take, but never give. You don't know anything about me. I know that I closed every door in my life so you could open yours. I know I worked until exhaustion so you wouldn't know poverty. I know I stayed alone every Christmas so I wouldn't inconvenience your new life. That's what I know. If you sacrifice so much, why are you throwing it in my face now? I'm not throwing it in your face, son. I'm just telling you that I'm done giving, without even getting respect in return. I'm done begging for crumbs of your attention. I'm done being invisible in your life until you need money. This is unbelievable. You know what Vanessa was right about you. Those words, like knives. What did Vanessa say about me? That you were manipulative, that you always played the victim, that you used guilt to control me, and she was right. This is all just manipulation for what Michael tell me. What would I gain from this? Silence. Vanessa says you want to separate me from her, that you never liked her, that you've always tried to sabotage our marriage. I sat on the edge of my bed. My legs were shaking, not from fear, from indignation, from pain, from that brutal clarity that comes when you finally see the truth. Michael, listen to me closely, because I'm only going to say this once. I don't want to separate you. I don't sabotage anything. I just wanted to be part of your life, to be a grandmother to my grandson, to have a relationship with you. That was all. But Vanessa decided I was a threat, and you let her decide for you. She is my wife, and I am your mother. Why does that mean less? Because she is here with me every day, because she is my family now. I am your family too, or I was. Mom, no, we're done. You said if I didn't help you, not to look for me again. Fine, I won't. But I want you to know something. This isn't revenge, it's not punishment. It's simply letting go. Letting go of someone who let go of me a long time ago. I can't believe you're this selfish. Selfish, son. I have spent my entire life being selfless, giving you everything, putting you first. This is the first time in 30 years that I am choosing myself. And if that's selfish, then yes, I am selfish. You're going to regret this. No, son, I've already regretted many things. Regretted staying silent when I should have spoken. Regretted begging when I should have walked away. Regretted giving when I should have set boundaries. But I won't regret this. When I lose my house, when my son suffers, it will be your fault. Those words tried to hurt me. They tried to make me doubt. They tried to activate that maternal guilt I had carried my whole life. But something had changed in me that night. No, Michael, it's not my fault. It's yours. You made bad investments. You decided to live beyond your means. You chose not to ask for help until it was too late. I have nothing to do with your decisions, and I will no longer carry the consequences for them. You," his voice broke, "you are a bad mother." And there it was, the final stab. For a second, those words tore me apart. My entire life. I had been a mother. It was my identity, my purpose. And my son was telling me I was bad at the only thing I had ever tried to be good at. But then I remembered. I remembered the sleepless nights when he was sick, the meals I didn't eat so he could have more, the dreams I abandoned to pay for his college, the tears I swallowed so he could smile. If being a good mother means letting myself be disrespected, then yes, Michael, I am a bad mother. And I'm at peace with that. Don't call me again. I won't. Really, you're just going to let it end like this. You ended this 7 years ago, son. I'm just accepting what you decided a long time ago. Goodbye, Mom. Goodbye, Michael. I hung up the phone, and I just sat there, in the darkness of my room, with the phone still in my hand. I didn't cry. I expected to cry. I expected to feel that sharp pain I always felt when he pulled away from me. But it didn't come. Instead, I felt something different, something I hadn't felt in years. I felt lightness, like I had dropped a weight I had been carrying for so long. I forgot what it felt like to walk without it. I stood up, walked to my closet. I pulled out the drawer where I had hidden the photo of Michael at 6. I looked at it in the moonlight streaming through my window. That beautiful boy. The boy who hugged me and told me I was his favorite mom. The boy who carried my market bags and promised me a big house. That boy didn't exist anymore. And that was okay. I kissed the photograph, and I put it in a box, in the back of the closet. I didn't throw it away. I never could. But I didn't need to see it every day anymore. I didn't need to remind myself who he was. I needed to remember who I was. Sarah Thompson, 55 years old, teacher, woman, mother. Yes, but also something more. Someone who was worth more than crumbs. Someone who deserved respect. Someone who had finally learned to say no. That night, I slept deeply for the first time in years. I didn't know what would come next. I didn't know if my son would come back. I didn't know if I would ever truly know my grandson. But I knew one thing for sure. I was done begging for love. I was done begging for attention. I was no longer going to be invisible in anyone's life. I had reclaimed something I lost a long time ago, my dignity. The days after that call were strange. I woke up every morning expecting to feel that familiar pain in my chest, that emptiness that had always been there since Michael distanced himself from me. But instead, there was something different. It wasn't happiness. It wasn't sadness either. It was a kind of calm, like after a storm ends and the air smells different. I continued my routine. I got up at 6 in the morning, made my coffee, looked out the window at the streets of Chicago waking up. I went to school, taught my classes, came home. But something in me had changed. I walked taller. I spoke more clearly. I smiled differently. My coworkers noticed. "Sarah, you look good," Emily, my friend and colleague of 30 years, told me. "Different? What happened?" "Nothing," I replied. I just let go of something that wasn't for me anymore. She looked at me with those wise eyes that only women who have lived a lot have. "It was your son, wasn't it?" I nodded. "Do you want to talk about it?" "Maybe someday. Right now I just want to live." And that's what I did. For the first time in years, I lived for me. But 3 days after that call, things started to get complicated. Vanessa called me. I saw her name on my phone screen, and my first instinct was not to answer, but something told me I had to, that I needed to close this chapter completely. "Hello?" I answered. "Sarah." Her voice was cold as ice. "I need to talk to you." "Hello, Vanessa. How are you?" "How am I? I'm furious. Do you know what you've just done?" "I have an idea." "You refused to give your own son money, your own family. Do you know we're going to lose our house? Do you know that Sam is going to suffer because of your selfishness?" I took a deep breath. The old Sarah would have started apologizing, explaining, justifying, but that Sarah didn't exist anymore. "Vanessa, did Michael tell you why I said no?" "He told me you refused to help him when he needed you most, that you told him to reap what he sowed. Very nice of you, by the way." "Did he tell you what happened 2 weeks ago, at Sam's birthday?" Silence. That was a misunderstanding." "It wasn't a misunderstanding, Vanessa. You screamed that either I left or you left. And my son chose. He shut the door in my face after I traveled 12 hours to see my grandson. So when he called me asking for money a week later, I decided that was enough. You're his mother. Mothers are supposed to forgive. And sons are supposed to respect. But that didn't happen, did it?" "Look, Sarah." Her tone changed, softened artificially. "I know we've had our differences, and I'm sorry, really. But this is bigger than our personal problems. This is about Sam, your grandson. Are you really going to let him suffer?" And there it was, the card I knew they would play. The child, my grandson, the guilt. "Vanessa, if you're in financial trouble, there are many options. You can sell the car. You can move to a smaller house. You can ask your parents for help, who I understand have more resources than I do. But I will not be the bank you only come to when everyone else has told you no." "I can't believe how heartless you are." "I'm not heartless. I'm a woman who finally understood her worth." Michael was right. You are manipulative, always playing the victim. If that makes you feel better, think that. But the answer is still no. Then I hope you can live with this on your conscience. When your grandson is sleeping on the street, remember it was your fault. Vanessa, my grandson is not going to sleep on the street. You two are going to solve this, like adults. You're going to make tough decisions. You're going to learn, and maybe, just maybe, you're going to grow up. That's what I wish for my son. Go to hell, Sarah." She hung up. I stared at the phone. I expected to feel bad. I expected guilt to eat me alive. But it didn't, because I knew something they didn't understand yet. Helping them with that money wouldn't have solved anything. It would have only delayed the inevitable. It would have only taught them that there would always be someone to rescue them from their bad decisions. And I couldn't be that person anymore. A week later, I received a text message from Michael. It just said, "We lost the house. Hope you're happy." Those words tried to plant guilt in me. But I had already learned something fundamental. I was not responsible for my adult son's decisions. I replied, "I'm sorry you are going through this. I wish you the best." There was no response. Over the next few days, social media filled with photos of Michael and Vanessa moving. Vanessa's parents appeared in the images, helping them pack. There was a photo of Sam, saying goodbye to his house with tears in his eyes. That photo hurt me. It hurt me like nothing else. My grandson, this child I had wanted to know, this child who carried my blood, this child was suffering. Emily found me crying in the school bathroom. "Oh, Sarah!" She hugged me. "What happened?" "My grandson, Sam, he's crying because he lost his house, and I could have prevented it." "No," Emily grabbed my face. "You couldn't have prevented anything. Your son's decisions led to this, not yours." "But it's my grandson. He's innocent in all this." "I know, and it's terrible. But Sarah, if you had given him that money, what would have happened? Do you think your son would have learned? Do you think he would have respected you more? Or do you think he just would have come back looking for you the next time he needed something?" I knew she was right, but it hurt. God, how it hurt. "Sometimes," Emily continued, "love means letting people face the consequences of their actions, even if it hurts, even if you feel like the worst person in the world. I feel like the worst grandmother in the world. You are a grandmother who was never given the chance to be a grandmother, and that is not your fault." That night, alone in my house, I took out the photo album I had made for Sam, the one that never reached him. I opened it, page after page of our family history, Photos of Michael as a baby, photos of us in the park, photos of his birthdays, his graduations, his achievements. At the end of the album, I had left blank pages for the photos with Sam we never took, for the memories we never made. I cried on those blank pages. I cried for the relationship I never had with my grandson, for the hugs I never received, for the words "I love you, Grandma," that I never heard. I cried for my son, for the man he had become, for the boy he had been, who no longer existed. But I also cried for me, for the years I had wasted begging for love, for the times I had accepted crumbs, for all the time I had spent waiting for things to change. The next morning, I made a decision. I put the album in a box, along with the photo of Michael at 6, along with all the gifts I had bought them and never sent, along with the letters I wrote and never mailed. I closed the box, I put it in the closet, and I closed the door. It wasn't forgetting. It was letting go. 2 weeks later, I found out through Facebook that Michael, Vanessa, and Sam had moved into a small apartment on the outskirts of Miami. Vanessa's parents had loaned them money for 6 months' rent. They had sold their car. They had sold a lot of their furniture. The photos showed a cramped space, very different from the big house where I hadn't been welcome. Vanessa posted a status that said, "When you thought you could count on family, but it turns out blood means nothing. Thank you to those who were there when we needed it most." It was clearly aimed at me. The comments filled with support for her. People who didn't know the whole story, people who only saw her version. Some people who knew me wrote to me, asking what had happened. I simply told them it was a private family matter. My siblings called me. They knew some of the situation. "Sarah, is it true you refused to give Michael money?" my older sister Patricia asked. "Yes." "Why? He's your son." "Because I can't keep rescuing him from the consequences of his decisions. Because I deserve respect. Because love is not a one-way street." "But he's your son," she repeated, as if that explained everything. "And I am his mother. And he treated me as if I was worthless." "Patricia, how long must I keep giving without receiving anything in return? How long must I accept being invisible until they need something? It's complicated, Sarah." "No, it's not complicated anymore. It's simple. He made his choice, and I made mine." Family forgives. It forgives, but it doesn't forget, and it doesn't enable. I forgave him 1,000 times, but I will no longer allow him to disrespect me. Patricia sighed. "I just hope you don't regret this." "If I regret anything, it's not having done this sooner." A month after Sam's birthday, I no longer waited for my phone to ring with his number. I no longer checked social media looking for signs that he missed me. I no longer fantasized about an apology. I had accepted the loss. I had lost my son, maybe a long time ago. Maybe I never really had him, not in the way I thought. I had lost my grandson, a child who would never know his grandmother, who would never hear our family stories, who would never know how much I loved him. I had lost the fantasy of being a happy family, of Christmas gatherings, of Sundays together, of being part of their lives. But in that loss, I had gained something more valuable. I had gained myself. One afternoon, cleaning my house, I found an old letter Michael had written me when he was 10 for Mother's Day. It said, "Dear Mom, you are the best mom in the world. When I grow up, I'm going to take care of you like you take care of me. I promise I will never leave you alone. I love you. Michael." I read that letter, and instead of crying, I smiled sadly. That 10-year-old boy really believed it. He really had wanted to take care of me. He really had loved me unconditionally. But people change. Children grow up. Promises are forgotten. And that was okay. I put the letter away again, and I went on with my day, because life went on. My life went on. And for the first time in years, I was the center of my own life. I was no longer just Michael's mom. I was no longer just the woman who sacrificed for her son. I was Sarah, a 55-year-old woman, a teacher, a friend, a sister, a person with her own worth. And that was enough. That night, I made myself a coffee. I sat on my porch. I looked at the stars over Chicago, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel loneliness. I felt freedom. 2 months had passed since that call. 2 months since I said no for the first time in 30 years. Life had followed its course. Classes at school, coffees with Emily, afternoons reading on my porch, Sundays at the market. Now, buying only for myself. I had learned to cook smaller portions, to enjoy the silence, to not wait by the phone. But then, one Tuesday afternoon, I received a message from an unknown number. "Sarah, it's Linda, Vanessa's mother. Could we talk?" My first instinct was to ignore it. I didn't owe that woman anything. But something in me, that part that still wanted to understand, made me reply. "Of course. When?" "Tomorrow, at the cafe in the downtown square, at 4. I agreed. I barely slept that night. What did she want to tell me? Was she coming to lecture me, to ask me for money for her daughter? I arrived at the cafe 5 minutes early. She was already there. Linda. The perfect woman who always appeared in the Facebook photos with her elegant clothes and flawless smile. But the woman I saw sitting at that table didn't look like the photos. She looked tired, older, small. "Sarah," she said as I approached. "Thank you for coming." "Linda," I replied, sitting across from her. We were silent for a few seconds. The waiter came, and I ordered an Americano. She already had a cup of tea in front of her, untouched. "I don't know how to start this," she finally said. "Start however you can." She took a deep breath. "My daughter told me what happened. Everything. Sam's birthday, Michael's call, the money, your answer." I nodded, saying nothing. "And I want you to know," her voice broke slightly, "I understand why you said no." Those words took me by surprise. "You do?" "Yes." She looked up at me. "Because I did the same thing. With Vanessa." The waiter brought my coffee. I took a sip. I needed time to process what I was hearing. "My daughter," Linda continued, "she has always been complicated. Ever since she was a little girl, she wanted everything, and she believed she deserved everything. My husband and I, we gave her everything. Private school, trips, designer clothes. We never told her no. Why are you telling me this?" Because when we found out about the problem with the house, Robert and I had a very serious conversation. Vanessa came to me, asking for $50,000, the same amount Michael asked you for. I leaned forward, and I told her no. My eyes widened. "But the photos on Facebook, they're a lie." "Well, not entirely. We did lend them money, but only $10,000. For 3 months' rent, not 6. And I made it very clear that it was a loan, not a gift, and that they would have to pay it back." And what did Vanessa say? She got angry. She screamed at me. She said we were her parents, that we had an obligation, that we couldn't let her be on the street. The same things I'm sure she said to you. "Yes," I admitted. "The same." "Sarah, I came here because I needed you to know something. Vanessa has told everyone that you are a terrible mother, that you abandoned your son, that you're selfish, and I kept quiet. I let my daughter tell her version, and now I can't stay quiet anymore, because I saw what happened next." "What happened?" Linda picked up her teacup. Her hands were trembling slightly. "Michael had to get 2 jobs, one during the day, another at night. Vanessa had to stop buying expensive clothes. They had to sell the second car. Sam had to change from private school to a public one. It must be hard for them." "It is." She paused. "But you know what's strange? For the first time in years, I see them present. Michael comes home tired, but he sits down to eat dinner with his family. Vanessa is learning to cook, something she's never done. Sam is calmer, less spoiled. What are you telling me? That you did the right thing? That saying no was the best thing you could have done for your son?" Because now he is learning what it means to work, to sacrifice, to value things. I felt a lump in my throat. Does Vanessa know you're here? No, and she would be furious if she knew. But I needed to tell you this. I needed you to know that you are not alone, that you are not a bad mother, that sometimes the greatest love is letting people fall so they can learn to get up. You know, I said after a moment, for 2 months, I've wondered if I did the right thing, if I was too harsh, if I should have given him that money. And now I know it wasn't cruelty. It was love. Just a different kind of love, the kind of love that says, I trust you can do this alone. I trust you are stronger than you think. Linda smiled sadly. Exactly. But it hurts, I admitted. God, how it hurts. I know. I also cry at night, thinking about my grandson, thinking about my daughter. But I know this is temporary. The pain now is temporary. But the lessons they are learning are forever. We sat in silence, 2 mothers who had made the hardest decision to let go. Does Michael ask about me? I dared to ask. Linda hesitated. Sometimes, when he's very tired, when things get really hard. He tells Vanessa, maybe I should have listened to my mom. But then Vanessa convinces him that you were the bad guy, and he gets quiet. I understand. But there's something else you need to know. What? Last week, Sam asked me about you. He said, Grandma Linda? Why do I never see my other grandma? And I didn't know what to tell him. My heart squeezed. What did you tell him? I told him the truth. That his grandma Sarah loved him very much. That she lived far away, but thought about him every day. And that someday, when he was older, he could meet her, if he wanted to. Tears started running down my cheeks. I couldn't hold them back. Thank you, I whispered. Thank you for telling him that. It's the truth, and Sam deserves to know the truth. Linda stood up to leave, but before she left, she took something out of her purse, an envelope. Sam made this, at school. It was a Mother's Day project. They had to make a card for all the important women in their lives. She handed me the envelope. This one is for you. I took it with trembling hands. Does Vanessa know you're giving me this? No, and I'd rather it stay that way, but I thought you deserved to have it. She left. I sat there, holding that envelope. For 5 minutes, I didn't dare open it. Finally, I opened it. It was a handmade card with colored crayons. On the cover, a drawing of a boy and an older woman holding hands. Above it, in a child's handwriting, it said, For my grandma Sarah, who I don't know. I opened the card. Inside it said, Dear Grandma, my mom says you live far away. My dad doesn't talk about you. But I know you exist. Grandma Linda showed me a picture of you. You have pretty eyes, like my dad. One day I want to meet you. I hope you like me, even though we don't know each other. With love, Sam. I cried right there, in that cafe, in front of strangers who didn't understand. I cried for my grandson, who knew I existed, but didn't know me. I cried for the pure words of a child who just wanted to be loved. I cried for all the lost time. But I also felt something else. Hope. Sam knew I existed. Sam wanted to meet me, and someday, when he was older, when he could make his own decisions, maybe, just maybe, we could have the relationship they had denied me. That night, I went home and did something I hadn't done in months. I took the box out of the closet, the box with the photographs, the album, the memories, but this time, I didn't do it with pain. I did it with purpose. I added Sam's card to the album. In one of those blank pages I had left for the memories we never made. Because this was a memory of hope, a memory that said, there is still time. There is still a chance. I didn't know if Michael and I would ever reconcile. I didn't know if Vanessa would ever accept me. I didn't know if I would meet my grandson before it was too late. But I knew one thing for sure. I had done the right thing. Not for revenge, not for pride, not to punish. I had done it for love, for the true love that teaches, that corrects, that allows people to grow. Time would do its work. Time would show my son that actions have consequences, that respect is important, that love isn't just about taking, but also about giving. And when that day came, if it came, I would be here. Not as the desperate mother begging for attention, but as the dignified woman who knew her value. And that was what Sam needed to see someday. Not a broken grandmother, but a strong woman who chose to love herself as much as she loved others. I put the album away. I put the box away. And I went for a walk under the Chicago stars. The air smelled like rain, like a new beginning, like possibilities. And for the first time in 30 years, I didn't feel like I was losing. I felt like I was winning my peace, winning my dignity, winning my life. And that was more valuable than anything I had lost. 6 months had passed since that night. 6 months since I said no for the first time in 30 years. Life had followed its silent course, doing what it always does, collecting its debts. I didn't seek revenge. I didn't do anything against my son or Vanessa. I simply lived. I went on with my life and let time do its work. But time, I've learned, is the wisest judge and the most efficient collector. Everything started to change in December. Emily came to school one day with her phone in her hand, hesitating. "Sarah, there's something you should see, but I don't know if you want to." "What is it?" She showed me her screen. It was Vanessa's Facebook profile. But something had changed. There were no more photos with perfect smiles, no more posts from expensive restaurants or trips. The last post said, "Sometimes life puts you in your place. It teaches you that not everything is as you paint it, that appearances aren't everything, that material things go away, but the damage you do remains. I'm learning." The comments asked what had happened. She didn't answer. "What do you think it means?" Emily asked. That reality finally arrived. I answered simply. Over the next few weeks, I pieced together information. Not because I was looking for it, but because it came to me. My sister Patricia called me one day. "Sarah, did you know Michael is working in construction?" "Construction." "Yes, I saw him the other day at a site near here. He was very thin, very tired. He said hello, but he looked ashamed." "Did you talk to him?" "I asked him how he was. He said fine, but his eyes said something else." "He asked about you." My heart skipped a beat. "What did he ask?" "If I knew how you were, if you were okay, if you still thought about him." "And what did you tell him?" "I told him the truth, that you were fine, that you seemed at peace." And he just nodded and walked away. 2 weeks later, Linda wrote to me again. "Sarah, can we talk?" We met at the same cafe. This time, Linda looked different, less burdened, almost relieved. "What happened?" I asked. "Vanessa and Robert had a huge fight." "Why?" "Because Robert told her they weren't going to keep lending them money, that Michael and she had to learn to live on what they earn. That enough was enough." "How did she take it?" "Badly, very badly. She cried, she screamed, she said we were terrible parents. How could we do this to her?" But Robert stood firm, and so did I. I imagine it wasn't easy. It wasn't. But do you know what happened next? Something I never expected. What? Vanessa broke down, completely. She started talking about things she had never said, about how she felt inadequate, about how she had always tried to pretend her life was perfect, about how she was afraid Michael would leave her for you. For me. Yes, she confessed that she always felt you were a threat, that Michael talked about you with so much love. She thought she could never compete. So she decided to push him away from you, little by little, with subtle comments, with complaints, by making every visit uncomfortable. My coffee went cold in my hands as I processed those words. I never wanted to compete with her, I said in a low voice. I just wanted to be part of their lives. I know, and I think now she knows it too. The other day, she told me something. Mom, I think I ruined something that I didn't need to ruin. Did she talk about me? Not directly, but we both knew what she was talking about. And Michael. Linda sighed. Michael is different. He works so much he barely has time for anything. But when he's home, he's present. He plays with Sam, helps with homework, makes dinner when Vanessa is tired. It's like he's finally understanding what it means to be responsible. Is he happy? I don't know if he's happy, but I know he's learning. And sometimes, that's more important than temporary happiness. Does he ask about me? Linda looked me in the eyes. All the time. Those 3 words cut through me. But he doesn't dare call you. He's ashamed. He says he doesn't know how to face you after everything that happened. He doesn't have to face me. He just has to grow up. And he is growing, Sarah. Slowly. But he's growing. 2 months later, in February, Patricia saw him again. This time, at the supermarket. Michael was shopping with Sam. Patricia told me the boy asked his dad, "Can we buy these cookies?" "No, son, they're too expensive. We'll get these other ones." "But I like those." "I know, but sometimes we can't have everything we like. That's life." Patricia said Sam pouted, but he accepted it. And Michael hugged him and said, "When Dad saves a little more, I'll buy you those cookies." Deal. Deal. Patricia told me Michael looked tired, with deep dark circles under his eyes. But there was something different about him, something more humble. In March, Emily showed me another post from Vanessa. It was a picture of her in the kitchen, hair pulled back, no makeup, preparing food. The caption said, "Learning that the important thing isn't pretending, but being." That a home-cooked meal made with love is worth more than 1,000 expensive restaurants. That humility hurts, but it heals. Forgive me, to those I hurt in my arrogance. I'm trying to be better. The comments were full of support, but I knew those words carried my name, even if she didn't say it. In April, something unexpected happened. I received a letter, a physical letter, in the mail, with a man's handwriting I would recognize anywhere. It was from Michael. I sat in my living room, with that letter in my hands, not daring to open it for almost an hour. Finally, I took a deep breath and opened it. "Mom, I don't know if you'll read this. I don't know if you'll want to read anything from me after everything that happened, but I need to write it. Even if you never read it. You were right. Those are the hardest words I've ever written in my life, but they are the truest. I am reaping what I sowed. Every day of these last 6 months has been a lesson. Every bill I can't pay reminds me of the times I spent without thinking. Every time I tell Sam no to something he wants but doesn't need, I remember all the times you told me yes, even when you couldn't. I work 14 hours a day. I come home with my body aching and my hands dirty. And in those moments, when I'm so tired I can barely move, I think of you. I think of how you worked double shifts when I was a kid. I think of your tired hands preparing my food. I think of everything you sacrificed. And I am ashamed. I am ashamed for shutting the door in your face. I am ashamed for only calling you to ask for money. I am ashamed for treating you as if you didn't matter. Vanessa and I have talked a lot. She is changing too. She confessed things to me she had never said, about her insecurities, about how she pushed you away from us because she was afraid. I don't justify what she did, but I understand that we were all wrong. Sam asks about you, a lot. He has your card saved in his room. Yes, Grandma Linda told us. He looks at it before he goes to sleep and says, "Someday I'm going to meet my Grandma Sarah." Mom, I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it. I'm not writing to ask you to come back. I know I don't have that right. I'm writing to tell you that your no is having an effect, that your no is teaching me more than all of your yeses combined, that your absence is showing me how much you were worth. I'm writing to tell you that I'm trying to be the man you raised, the boy who carried your market bags, the boy who promised to take care of you. I'm trying, Mom. I don't know if you can ever forgive me. I don't know if we'll ever be able to talk again, but I want you to know that I think about you every day and that I finally understand what everything you did for me meant. With love and shame. Michael. P.S. I saved the photo album, the one you brought for Sam. I found it in the closet where Vanessa had hidden it. It's in the living room now, and every night I show my son who you are, who you were, who you will always be, his grandmother. I finished reading the letter with tears streaming down my face. They weren't tears of pain. They weren't tears of satisfaction. They were tears of understanding. Life had done its work, without me lifting a finger, without revenge, without spite, simply by letting the natural consequences teach what my words could not. Michael had learned. He was learning. And that was all I had ever wanted. I didn't need him to beg. I didn't need him to plead for forgiveness. I didn't need him to come on his knees. I just needed to know that he was growing, that he was understanding, that he was becoming the man I always knew he could be. That night, I put the letter in the album, next to Sam's card, next to the old photographs, and I smiled, because justice had arrived, not as punishment, but as a lesson. Life had shown my son what I couldn't teach him with words, that everything has consequences, that respect is earned, that true love includes boundaries, that growing up hurts, but it's necessary. And I had learned something too, that letting go is not abandonment, that saying no can be the deepest form of love, that sometimes the best way to help someone is to let them fall, because only in falling do we learn to get up. And my son, finally, was learning to get up on his own. Almost 2 years have passed since that night of Sam's birthday. 2 years since I closed that door and opened another, the door to myself. Today is Saturday. I get up early, as always. I make my coffee. I sit on the porch of my house in Chicago and watch the sunrise paint the sky orange and pink. This morning, like every Saturday, I'm going to the market, but I don't go alone anymore. Emily comes with me, sometimes Patricia. I've even joined a book club with other retired teachers. I discovered that when you stop centering your life on waiting for someone's love, you find love in places you never imagined. Michael's letter is still in my album. I read it sometimes, not with pain, with peace. I wrote him back. Yes, but it took me 3 months to do it. Not because I wanted to punish him, but because I needed to be sure that my answer came from a place of clarity, not desperation, not from need, but from choice. I wrote him this, "Son, I read your letter. I read it many times." And each time, I felt something different. First, I felt pain, then relief, then pride. Because I finally see the man I always knew you could be. I'm not asking you to apologize anymore. You already did, and I accept it. But I need you to understand something. Forgiving doesn't mean forgetting. Forgiving means letting go of resentment, but remembering the lesson. I forgive you. I forgive Vanessa. I forgive myself for all the times I accepted less than I deserved. But a relationship isn't rebuilt with one letter. It's rebuilt with time, with actions, with consistency. If you really want us to be a family again, you will have to prove it, not with words, with actions. Day after day, month after month. And I will be here, not waiting, just here, living my life, being happy, with or without you in it. Because that's what I finally learned. My happiness doesn't depend on anyone but me. When you are ready, when Vanessa is ready, when you can look me in the eyes without shame or pride, just with respect, I will be here. But come as people who understand that love is reciprocal, that family is built, not demanded. Give my grandson a kiss. Tell him his grandmother loves him and is waiting for him, but with no rush. With love and dignity, Mom. I sent that letter, and I went on with my life. For 6 months, I heard nothing from him. But this time, the silence didn't hurt me, because I understood that Michael needed time to process, time to change, time to be ready. And then, 3 months ago, something happened. It was a Sunday. I was watering the plants on my porch when I heard the doorbell. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door, and there he was. Michael, my son, thinner, with gray hairs he didn't have before, with tired, but humble, eyes. And next to him, an 8-year-old boy with the same big eyes as his dad, the same eyes from the photograph I kept. Sam. "Hi, Mom," Michael said, his voice trembling. I didn't say anything. I couldn't. I know I didn't call. I know you might not want to see us. But Sam's birthday is next week, and he only asked for one gift. The boy stepped forward, shy, beautiful. "Are you my Grandma Sarah?" he asked with a soft voice. I knelt down to his level. Tears were streaming down my face. "Yes, my love, I am your Grandma Sarah. I have wanted to meet you for so long." He took something out of his backpack. "Look, I have your card, the one I made in school. Dad said you kept it." "I kept it, and I treasure it. It's one of my most precious gifts." Sam smiled, and in that smile, I saw Michael at 6 years old. I saw the past and the future. I saw the chance to heal. Can I hug you?" the boy asked. "Of course you can, my sweet boy." I hugged him. I hugged my grandson for the first time. He smelled like children's soap and chocolate. He was small, but strong. And he hugged me with an intensity that broke me and healed me at the same time. When I stood up, I looked at Michael. He had tears in his eyes. "I came alone with Sam," he said. "Vanessa, she's not ready yet. But she asked me to tell you that she's sorry, that she's working on herself, that someday, when she's brave enough, she will come and ask for your forgiveness in person." "And you?" I asked. "Are you ready?" "I don't know if I'm ready, but I'm here, trying, wanting, asking for a chance." I looked at them both, my son and my grandson, my past and my future. "Come in," I said. "I have fresh coffee, and I think there's some sweet bread." Sam ran inside, exploring the house with a child's curiosity. Michael stayed at the door. "Mom, not now," I said softly. "Right now, let's just come in. Let's have coffee. Let's get to know Sam. The rest can wait." He nodded, and he came inside. That afternoon was strange, not magical, not perfect, but real. Sam asked me 1,000 questions about my life, my job, about Michael when he was a kid, and I answered every one with love. Michael stayed quiet most of the time, just watching his son and his mother finally meet. Before they left, Sam hugged me again. "Grandma, can I come back another day?" "You can come back whenever you want, my love." Next Sunday. Michael looked at me. "Thank you," he whispered. "Don't thank me. Just keep coming. Keep trying. That's all I ask." They left, and I stayed in my house, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Wholeness. Not because my son had come back, but because I had remained. Firm, dignified, without begging, without pleading. And he had returned, Not because I needed him to, but because he needed to. Since that day, Sam comes every Sunday, sometimes with Michael, always just Michael, never with Vanessa. I've asked Michael about her. "She's scared," he says. "She's afraid you'll reject her, that you'll hate her." "I don't hate her," I always reply, "but I'm not going to beg her to come either. When she's ready, I'll be here." And it's true. I don't feel hate. I feel neutrality. Vanessa made her choices. Now she lives with them, just like all of us. My relationship with Michael is healing, slowly, with small steps. We don't talk about the past all the time, but when we do, he listens. He really listens. "Mom, how did you do it?" he asked me once. "How did you let me go, knowing you could lose me forever?" Because loving you meant letting you learn, even if it hurt me. True love doesn't hold on. True love lets go when it has to. It must have been so hard. It was. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, but it was also the most important. Now, when I see him playing with Sam on my porch, when I see him teaching his son about responsibility and respect, when I see him being a better father than the one he had, I feel proud. Not because he came back to me, but because he grew up. And that was all I ever wanted. Sam is growing too. He's a smart, sensitive boy. He tells me his dreams, his fears, his questions. The other day he told me, "Grandma, my mom says you're bad, but I don't think you're bad. And what do you think? I think you're strong. My teacher says being strong sometimes means saying no, even if it hurts. Your teacher is very wise. Will my mom ever like you? I don't know my love, but that's okay. I don't need everyone to like me. I just need to like myself. I like you, Grandma. And I love you, my sweet boy, more than you know." Now, every Sunday, I make coffee for Michael and hot chocolate for Sam. We bake cookies. We go to the park. We do the things I never got to do during those lost years. Is it perfect? No. Michael and I still have difficult conversations. There are still awkward moments, there are still scars, but we are healing. Together, but also separately. He in his process, me in mine. And Sam. Sam is the bridge, the reminder that even in the most broken relationships, there can be redemption. A week ago, Michael brought me something. "Mom, I found this while cleaning." It was that photograph, the one of him at 6, with the gap in his teeth, under the oak tree. "I thought you had lost it," I said. "I hid it. After what happened, I couldn't look at it. It reminded me of everything I had lost. But now I want you to have it, because you're the one who deserves it." I took it. I looked at it. And I no longer felt pain seeing it. "Thank you, son. Mom, I'm never going to be able to give you back all the lost time, all the years I made you feel invisible. But I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be the son you deserved from the beginning. You don't need to be perfect, Michael. You just need to be present. I will be. I promise." And this time, I believed him. Not because his words were different, but because his actions backed them up. Now, sitting on my porch on this Saturday morning, with my coffee in hand and the sun on my face, I think about everything I've lived through. I think about the Sarah I was, the one who begged for love, the one who accepted crumbs, the one who made herself small so she wouldn't be an inconvenience. And I think about the Sarah I am, the one who chooses herself, the one who sets boundaries, the one who knows her value. Do I regret saying no that night? Never. That no saved me. It saved my dignity. It saved my peace. And, strangely enough, it saved my relationship with my son. Because only when I stopped begging could he see my value. Only when I stopped chasing could he return. Only when I let go could we both heal. If my story helps anyone, If just one woman reads this and understands that her value doesn't depend on how much she gives, but on how much she respects herself, then it will all have been worth it. Because I learned something fundamental in these 2 years. You cannot love someone more than you love yourself. You cannot give so much that you have nothing left. You cannot beg for a place in someone else's life while abandoning your place in your own. True love includes boundaries. It includes respect. It includes reciprocity. And sometimes, the greatest act of love is to let go, not with hate, not with spite, but with the faith that if something is meant for you, it will come back. And if it doesn't, it's because it was never yours. My son came back. But even if he hadn't, I would be okay. Because I finally found what I had been looking for my whole life in all the wrong places. Peace. Not the peace of having everything resolved, not the peace of a perfect family, but the peace of knowing who I am, of knowing my value, of walking with my head held high. This morning, Sam is coming to visit. He asked me to teach him how to make sweet bread, like the kind I used to make for his dad when he was little. And I will teach him. I will tell him stories. I will show him photos. I will give him all the love I have. But I will also teach him something more important, that respect is sacred, that love is not begged for, that it's okay to set boundaries, even with the people you love. I will teach my grandson what I couldn't teach my son in time, that being kind doesn't mean being weak, that being generous doesn't mean letting yourself be used, that you can love with all your heart and still not lose your dignity. That is the inheritance I want to leave, not money, not property, but wisdom. The wisdom of a woman who learned, however late, that self-love isn't selfishness, it's survival. And if you are reading this, if you have gone through something similar, if you have been the mother, the wife, the daughter, the friend who always gives but never receives, I want you to know this. You are worthy, even if no one else sees it, even if no one else acknowledges it. You are worthy. And it's okay to say no. It's okay to set boundaries. It's okay to choose yourself. It's not revenge. It's not punishment. It's self-love. And the world needs more women who love themselves, who walk with dignity, who know their value. Because when one woman rises, she lifts her family, she lifts her community, she lifts the world. I rose, and if I could, you can too. Thank you for listening to the end. If this story touched your heart, subscribe and hit the bell to hear more stories from elderly stories of women who transformed their pain into wisdom. Every day, a woman, a life lesson. Share this story with someone you love. Sometimes, a story like this can change an entire day. God bless you, and until next time. The doorbell rings. It's Sam. I get up, I smile, and I go to open the door. Not to a past I have to beg for, but to a future I am building, with dignity, with love, with wisdom. I am Sarah Thompson. I am 57 years old, and this is the story I kept secret for too long, the story of how I lost my son, to find myself, and how, in finding myself, I finally got him back, not like before, better, with respect, with boundaries, with real love, and that is what every woman deserves.